His armour is iron, his teeth are swords, his claws are spears, his wings a hurricane, and his breath death. He is, of course, Fafnir. That is who we're talking about today, not a Tolkien fictional character. Why would we do that? Where would we get that from? Yes, this is going to be my Fafnir guide. We're going to talk about some strategies that I have used, as well as some others, to give you a head start come wave 2. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video, and yes, today we are taking a look at Fafnir. Now, this might feel a little bit late, and I've perhaps done them in the wrong order, because Fafnir tends to be the first stumbling block people come across at 90, but it's just the way that I've done it. So, I think the first thing to do is start with what Fafnir does. So this is a two-phase fight. So in the first phase, he has one set of abilities. He will then cast his ultimate, and then it will move to a second set of abilities. So in his first phase, or his enraged mode, as we can see here, his basic is burned to the core. He attacks all enemies 2 times, each hit activating Blaze 3 on enemies. His core, Dragonfire, attacks all enemies and places Blaze 3 on enemies for 5 turns. So as soon as he uses this, you're all going to take a turn, take 6% of your damage. I think it's 6%. Yep, that's right. And because your entire team's got it, all 5 of them, that could be 30%, which is, ouch. And then he's got a basic attack and he's going to activate it again. So yeah, managing these blazes, removing them is going to be key for this fight. And then the ultimate in this first form, he attacks all enemies, continuously activating Blaze until they're all consumed. Now, if for whatever reason he casts his core, then his ultimate, 5 times 6 is 30 across 5 people, that is it's basically dead. Then he heals himself by 20% of his max HP, places Drain on himself, and then becomes exhausted. Drain, of course, increases the damage from attacks by 30%, and you heal by 30% of the damage dealt. His passives in this mode, 3 of them are sort of the same between both modes, but the 2 unique ones are Frailty to Fire. He gains 50 Divinity when placing a blaze on enemies. So, yeah, that core ability, straight away he's going to gain 250 Divinity, which is not ideal. And then he gains 5 whenever we're damaged as well. So again, you really do want to remove those as quick as possible. If enemies block or resist, he gains 25. So yeah, having, is it Stalwart or Reflect? Something like that to stop those being placed is going to be massive, or having some high resist just to reduce that divinity gain is going to be key. When Fafnir receives a disable, he removes that disable and you decrease his divinity. This is doubled when freeze is placed on him. So every time he places a blaze on you, he's going to gain 50. Every time you freeze him, he's going to lose 50. So there is one particular Ice Queen who is fabulous for this fight. If Fafnir receives a blaze, you increase his divinity by 100. So you want to avoid bringing in blaze characters, people like Ra, Bastet, Icarus, Go. They're bad choices here because of the divinity gain you're going to give him. Now, of course, later on, when you can brute force these fights, it really doesn't matter who you bring, but we're thinking more from like a beginner's mindset sort of theory craft, so we're going to lean away from blaze characters for this one. His second passive, Enraged, he has a 100% chance to place Blaze 3 for 1 turn on enemies when attacking. This chance is reduced by 25% for each unique hero archetype on the team. So as long as you've got 4, you're going to reduce that chance down to 0. Fafnir deals 50% increased damage to enemies under Blaze, and when Fafnir's turn meter is reduced, he activates Burned to the Core, which is, of course, basic. So, no turn meter reduction here. The last 3 passives, He's immune to increase and decrease divinity cost abilities and locks. He has reduced damage to acid, blaze, and bleeds, so damage over time effects. And when he casts his ultimate, damage increases by 5%. So managing the amount of times that he can cast the ultimate is going to be key to stop the damage ramp. Let's move to his exhausted phase then. So this is where things change completely. We are obviously missing a bracket here as well. Alright. So the basic in the exhausted phase, so this is the phase he moves into after he casts his ultimate. It's another AoE attack, increases the duration of all debuffs on the enemy by 1 turn, and increases Fafnir's divinity by 50 for each debuff duration increased here. So if you've got 3 or 4 debuffs on you, this is really bad, because then if you've got 4, for example, he's going to be gaining 200 each time. So again, really key that we remove that or control him somehow. His core Burning Embers attacks all enemies, transfers all debuffs from Fafnir onto the enemy. The chance to transfer is reduced by 25% for each unique hero archetype on the team. So bringing at least 4 different archetypes is going to be key. So you're going to want a Slayer, a Defender, an Invoker, and then either a Disruptor or a Brawler, depending on who you've pulled. The ultimate in this other form, he attacks all enemies. Damage inflicted is increased by 50% if you're under vulnerable, and then increases his max HP, attack, defense for each debuff he's under, and then he flips back, okay? Now, this sort of vulnerability, it's going to come from this passive here. Venomous Breath has a 100% chance to place acid and vulnerable for 1 turn when attacking enemies. This chance is reduced by 10%, so for each unique archetype. So the biggest you can get this down is 50%. Most people actually got it down to sort of 60 by having 4 different types. So again, don't bring all Slayers, all Invokers. That is very, very bad. And then you can see sort of how the kit is moving together. Snake Sorcery increases his divinity by 50 each time a debuff is placed on an enemy. If an enemy resists or blocks, he gains half that. And then the last ones are over here are exactly the same. But this one, Exhausted, he receives 20% increased damage when under a debuff. So when he's in his exhausted phase, place your debuffs on him, he's going to take increased damage. That is like your key damage window. This is increased by 5% for each unique hero archetype. So again, you can get it up to 45%. Most people will stick around 40. And when his turn meter is reduced, he heals by 1% equal to the meter reduced. So again, do not bring turn meter reduction here. That is his kit in a nutshell. So the too long didn't read, basically. Don't bring Blaze, okay? Try and keep 4 heart archetypes in your team to reduce the efficiency or effectiveness of his abilities. And if you can bring some sort of freeze or control, that will help massively. You'll notice in this exhausted form, and I'll show you sort of one of the runs where the strategy revolves around this, he loses his ability to be uncontrollable. So if you can survive this first ultimate, you can then handle him just by controlling him in the exhausted phase. So what we'll do now, we're going to talk about 3 strategies that you can use to defeat this boss. I will try and showcase as many as I can, as well as I can. And one of them is very free-to-play friendly. So yeah, let's dive in. So the first strategy is what I'm going to call like a stall control comp, where the idea is to let Fafnir ult you in his enraged form, survive through it, and then control him to the point that you can just see the rest of the fight out. So here there are some key characters to this, and all three of them are rares. All right, we're going to start with Sigardi, the Queen. If you didn't see a video I put out the other day, go watch it out. She is a legendary in a rare skin. Her abilities all revolve around freeze, and she can place it at a reasonable rate. Now, hitting twice, 25% chance doesn't sound like much, but if you get enough attacks off, you place the speed down on Fafnir in that second form, generally you can do it pretty successfully. Now, just to bear in mind, you're not going to break any speed records in this run, but it is one way of doing it, and I'll showcase it in a moment. It also utilises 2 other rares for it to function, and one of them is Shishi. This doggo is the best boyo, an incredible unit for this fight. And why is he? Well, firstly, he's got attack down on his A1. It is not the biggest attack down, but a 20% attack reduction is better than none. He also places defense up on himself and has a joint attack with Defender and Tian allies. I do not believe this is working right now, but it's a useful thing to have in the future. The defense up being the key part here, because his ultimate places protect on all allies for 2 turns and a shield. And if an ally is from Tian, the buff cannot be removed. We're less worried about this. What we're looking at here is the protection, the ally protection, and the shield that he is placing. But the cream of the crop is his passive. So one thing I will say, it's important if you're utilising this strategy that you want him Ascended 3 to get this passive and Awakened 3 if possible for the improvement. And his passive says, when an enemy attempts to place a debuff on an ally, there is a 60% chance to heal them. If this hero receives a debuff, place barrier equal to 50% on this hero. This is a massive, massive shield, barrier, and heal that he puts just on everyone. Because Fafnir tries to put so many debuffs out on you, especially in that second form when you hit him, he is your healer in a way. You don't necessarily need anyone else after that point. He can look after you with just another shielder, like Tristane. Or in my run, which you'll see sort of the first time I did it, I just had Heimdall. Now, I say just had Heimdall. Heimdall is obviously very strong, but Shishi can do it on his own, and I will look to show you that shortly. Now, another thing you can do is you can just extract Shishi's imprint. So if you don't have 3 copies, you can get this. Obviously, it's not as good, and you won't get the barrier, but you can still get the heal and shove it on someone else, so still works very nicely. The third and final unit in this sort of trifecta for this kind of strategy is Isolde, for mainly her passive. So again, if you don't want to use Isolde but you want to use her passive, that is fantastic. When an allied defender is attacked, you heal all allies equal to 5% of her max HP. Now, the reason she pairs so well with Shishi is Shishi places ally protect on everyone. So he's sharing a portion of the damage, which works with this passive. So you've got 2 lots of heals between them. So that is what's going to help keep you alive when he ults. Along with, let's say, a shield from Tristane, who I'm going to utilise in this one, and the attack down. So those 3 things together make a very, very nice sort of team basis. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into 90 just to get to the ultimate quickly and show you sort of how it all works. So we've come into floor 150 now, and we're just going to sort of play it out until we get to his ultimate. Unless Cardi knocks it back. We're purposely not using all of our super strong abilities, because I want him to ult for this, so you could see. Probably should have used the defense up there. That was a mistake on my part. And again, he's probably going to go before everyone else. So once more, place the ally protect, place the radiance. Knocked it back again. We might actually beat this before we do anything. Come on, Fafnir, just ult us. There we go. So we've got a load of debuffs on ourselves, but doesn't matter, we've got the healing coming in from everyone. We will now cleanse everything. We will place the decreased speed on him, and then you just sort of go to town. Scardy will land some freezes on him, and so, with a bit of luck, we can demonstrate what happens after that point. He misses his turn, and then we go again we're going to start losing all these debuffs. Skadi will freeze him again. And then, guess what? He will miss his turn. It's really a fabulous sort of stall comp. It's not fast. You'll see from my original 90 clear, I'll pop an image up actually. It took me, I think, 25 minutes? 18 minutes it took us initially, and this is on floor 90. Obviously we're doing 150 now, but we followed the same principle that simply this is what we were using. We didn't have all the awakenings, but we managed to make it work just through good synergy. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's take a look at comp number 2. So the second strategy is a dot explosion strategy, and it all revolves around one particular weapon, Naginata's sword. Now what this does is it gives your attacks a percentage chance to activate a random damaging debuff. Now that includes bleeds, acids and blazes. Starts at 5%, moves to 10. I did pick up another one whilst farming a second ago, so I'm going to do that, confirm. Takes it to a 15% chance, and if I was to continue, you can get it up to 20 level 4, 25 level 5, and then I believe 30% at level 6, which is a lot. A 30% chance per attack to activate a debuff is wonderful. Now, where can you farm these? Now, where you get them from is stage 48, and this is. But it's not just stage 48, this is where I farmed them in particular. But the way to tell what weapons you're going to get is to look at the 9th floor, the one that drops the God Steel. Whatever you see here, so here we've got Virage, Izumo, and I think that's Tian. Those are the weapons you'll get from the floor before. So you'll get predominantly Virage, Tian, and Izumo weapons. The Naginata is an Izumo weapon, and that does apply to all floors. Okay, so 59 drops Aru, Umeya and Echo weapons, so those are the ones you'll predominantly get from. So what you want to do is you want to get a, say, Dotter and put Naginata on them along with one or two others. Ideally you'd want 2 Dotters, and this kind of strategy doesn't work amazing for bleed characters, because bleed you want time to ramp up, and if you're blowing them up all the time you're not going to get as much value as you would with an acid or a blaze. Now that doesn't mean to say you can't use the likes of Lady Jacques, but I say this is where someone like Ramses will shine. Even Icarus as well is another very good unit you can use for this strategy. So what I'll do is, again, I will kit a couple of people up, or I'll kit Ramses up with this, and just sort of show you it in action. So here we are, we come back through to Fafnir, and we are chunking damage off, and that is the acids popping. There we are, just saw that there, pop down, and then Fafnir takes a turn, and it drops off again. So I'm glad that we actually got a chance to show you. Now, I've actually only got one of these swords. I farmed a couple of times, and to be honest, I gave up. But they say if you have multiple of these with multiple people placing debuffs, then this is a really nice strategy, especially, say, but it revolves around, say, moving fast, getting more turns than Fafnir, or even the Golden Guardian is able to. So we've got acid for 3 turns, and we've just popped one again, do a little bit of damage. And yet that is the second strategy when it comes to beating Fafnir. And then the final strategy I'm not going to delve too much on, because we sort of highlighted it in yesterday's video, but that is max HP, and revolves predominantly around Beowulf, empowering him with attack up, and getting multiple turns himself to do max HP damage, which is just built into his kit. The other thing you can do if you don't have Beowulf but you've got someone with multiple attacks like Zeus, Zeus gets an awful lot of turns, you can equip him with the weapon like the Thunderbolt, which will do maximum HP as well. So that is the third and final strategy. You can look at it in a bit more detail. I'll put a card up in that corner somewhere for you to go watch that video yesterday highlighting, say, Beowulf specifically with that maximum HP sort of blow up comp. Obviously, don't forget your fundamentals if you're struggling. Attack down and defense down. Attack down being the most important. Initiative down and speed down will stop the boss getting to his ultimate and taking as many turns, so you can do that. There are a few units you can use, but I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with Anubis and the Hound of Duat. So obviously utilise the units you've got, but I hope this has helped you. I hope this helps you get past some of the waves in the second alpha and the third one, the all-important one. So yes, thank you for watching. Take care, look after yourselves, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I'll see you in another one soon. Cheers.